Is on page 11 in your prayer books. When I keep Shabbat, God watches over me, and it's a sign forever between God and me. Ki yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereini. Ki yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereini. Oti leomeyan beno ubeini. Oti leomeyan beno ubeini. Ki yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereini. Ki yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereini. Oti leomeyan beno ubeini. Oti leomeyan beno ubeini.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you all for joining us today. I visited the Nova exhibit last weekend at the JCC, the exhibit about October 7th and the dance festival that was broken up by Hamas. And I was really struck by the different ways that the people tried to survive. So some of them climbed into fridges to survive. Some climbed into porta potties. And I was just sort of struck by how their ingenuity and how they decided to take control of their lives and make their time count. And some of them would make videos to be sent to their loved ones, and it's quite a sad thing to witness, to see them, thinking that they would not make it out of this. And eventually those ones that we were able to see in the exhibit, they did make it, but it really, showed the stark contrast of those who also did not make it. And in our Torah portion, we see that Sarah dies. She dies after a really long life, in contrast to those people who maybe didn't have such a long life. And we get to know her a little bit in this portion, whereas we probably didn't get to know those people who went through the trauma at the dance festival. And so it's just a contrast to think about this week. I want to share a reading from Nessa Rappaport. She wrote, "Undo it, take it back. Undo it, take it back. Make every day the previous one until I am returned to the day before the one that made you gone. Or set me on an airplane traveling west, crossing the date line again and again, losing this day, then that, until a day of loss still lies ahead, and you are here instead of sorrow." We're going to light candles on page 2. It's too long. you're able to take a moment to close your eyes and start to relax, you can offer a brief meditation. Imagine that you are outside and it's not as chilly as it was today, but it's a crisp yet sunny fall day, and the sun is shining on you. You only feel a little bit of a breeze, and leaves are falling around you, and you're by some sort of body of water, and it's making the sounds of ripples, and you can see that it is flowing at a very slow pace. And as you watch it, you also begin to slow down, and you try to watch the things going down the stream. Perhaps you see a branch floating down the stream, and it goes under a small bridge, and then you can't see it any longer. But you still feel as calm as the water is, knowing that you will get to that bridge and beyond it as well. So if you're able to take a couple of deep breaths and envision yourself by that water, perhaps you too can feel more relaxed today and throughout this weekend. On page 20, we'll welcome the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi.
Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'Shem ol tiferet
if you're able to.
Boi Shalom, Atzeret Bala. Kam besimcha, utzochola. Toch emunei, am segula. Boi Chala.
Please be seated. Page 25. Below the line. And so we understand that ordinary people are messengers of the Most High. They go about their tasks in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. We would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you, too, yourself, may be a messenger, perhaps even one whose errand extends over several lifetimes.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא דברי חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה ברכו. לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
We join together on page 27 in the English. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruits so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. On page 28, we reach our call to worship. Please rise if you're able to. Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umechalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotechem b'rakira kirtsono borei yom v'layla goel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzivaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 33. Just below the line. Torah is what God has revealed to us and what we discern of God, ideas and ideals, laws and mitzvot, our religious heritage. It unfolds our memories of Abraham and Sarah, of Moses and Miriam and the prophets. It is legislation and an explanation, allowing questions that challenge, answers that inspire, all a quest for meaning. It is our way of life, a path for all souls, and a desire for a better world. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Hear, O Israel, Shema Yisrael, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever. Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We're on page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
Page 41. Salvation is the Jews' victory over human limitations, ignorance or insensitivity. It is the conquest of sinfulness, of the evils residents within the self, pride, selfishness, hate, lust, cynicism, and the deliberate rejection of goodness and truth. Our Song of Freedom is on page 40, Micha Mocha. page 43. In these ever-growing dark days, we ask for peace and for shelter and for God to watch over us. We join together at the bottom of the page. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 44.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. Kisheishen yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. Vayom Hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam.
We're in the Torah in this time of year. We're reading Genesis, and so we're encountering all of our different patriarchs and matriarchs, and especially in this Torah portion, there are 4 of them are mentioned, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, and Rebekah, just as they are mentioned in the Amidah, in the Avot, the Imahot, in the prayer about the patriarchs and the matriarchs. We are asked to remember that God was a part of them, and that through them we all came to be, and they started the covenant, and we are carrying out that covenant to this day, many, many centuries later. And we are still carrying out the ideals and practices that they did, still being just as kind and welcoming as they all were. So our next prayer is the Amidah on page 46. If you're able to rise, please do so.
Adonai sefatai tifta, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tifta, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Choser Moshiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayer HaKol Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayer HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Geburot, Umido Melech, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalucha salah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. Page 55. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things in space. On Shabbat we try to become attuned to the holiness of time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Page 57. We join together at the bottom of the page. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance, and let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avot. Page 61. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael ba shalom. We take time for silent prayer and internal reflection. offer a prayer for Israel. It's called Counting Our Blessings by Rabbi Sarah Sapadin. Count each day, we're reminded in our Psalms, because every day is a gift, and life carries with it no guarantees. There is so much we don't know, so much we can't account for, so much we can't ever foresee. What is here today may not be here tomorrow, an exceedingly painful one at that. For the world that we inhabited on October 6th was very different than the one we inhabit today. The ground had not yet shifted beneath our feet. The earth had not yet ruptured, and the soil had not yet curdled with the blood of untold innocents. But one day can change everything. One day can turn the world upside down. And one day can cause an entire nation to question who they are and what they will become. And so what can we do? How can we live in the face of this uncertainty that governs our lives so dispassionately? Our tradition encourages us to lean heavily into gratitude by savoring what we have and who we're with, knowing these gifts could vanish the very next hour or day or week or month. Perhaps this is why our tradition urges us to say 100 blessings a day. There are so many moments, both grand and granular, to relish. In a world where everything we know can shift in an instant, let us hold tight the blessings in our midst. Let us embrace and laugh with urgency and passion. Let us say the important things to the important people, because if we don't say them now, we might never get the chance. When we think of those in our own community who are in need of healing and who are in need of being lifted up, today we're thinking of Steve Bloom, Linda Bloom, Suzanne Christie, Joe Crane, Roger Ford, Tracy Ford, Howard Fridson, Joel Katz, Amy Klein, Linda Folkoff, Leslie Magidson, Brian Newhouse, Carol Benovowitz, Marcia Silverman, Molly, Shelley Taub, Sherry Topper, Gloria Zytok, Dan Zimmerman, and Judy Zimmerman. If you have any names to add or correct, I encourage you to do so. Our prayer for healing is on page 253. May we all find healing. Four years ago, my aunt, Marianne, passed away at the age of 70. She was not Jewish, but she was a woman of valor, like we have in our tradition. She was quite a force to be reckoned with, and I had the honor of officiating at her funeral. While I was writing her eulogy, I was reminded of our matriarch, Sarah. And like Sarah, Miriam was dedicated to her family. She took pleasure in raising her 3 kids and being a grandmother to 8 grandkids. I had seen Marianne in December of that year as a healthy woman, never expecting to be at her funeral 11 months later. And her death was a reminder to make our days count, to remind others that we love them, because truly never know what could happen to our loved ones. We are told that when you waste a moment, you have killed it in a sense, squandering an irreplaceable opportunity. But when you use the moment properly, filling it with purpose and productivity, it lives on forever. When we treasure our days and strive to be better and more loving people, we can make our moments last longer. Our Parshat Chaye Sarah begins with the death of our matriarch Sarah. However, the words Chaye Sarah literally mean the life of Sarah, so we're faced with a paradox there. In response to this, the Talmud explains how those who are righteous, who fill their days in productive and positive and loving ways, are considered alive even when they are dead, while those who bring toxicity and negativity into the world are viewed as dead even when they are alive. It's quite fitting that following the death of Sarah, we can focus on her influence and the meaning of her life, who she was and what she accomplished, even though she is no longer living. Sarah was the only woman to whom God spoke directly, telling her she would have a baby at an older age. The conception of Isaac was attributed to Sarah's enduring trust in God. Sarah died at the age of 127. Her age surpassed the ideal age of 120, with 7 more sacred years. The Torah uses unique language to explain this. Sarah's lifetime was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. And Sarah is the only woman to have her age written in Scripture. For this, she is considered to be the greatest woman of valor. We are taught by her that time is relative. It is defined more by its quality than its quantity. Her death prompted Abraham to buy a burial plot in the cave of the Machpelah, and Sarah's grave is the first permanent legal presence of a land promised Abraham. The Machpelah is a visible sign of the future. It is a token title to the promised land and a symbol of our eventual possession. Sarah was a woman whose life was alive with the fullness of her choices, and she distinguished herself by ensuring that all her days were complete, without defect or lack, full of content and life. The implication is that Sarah's greatness lies not in simple longevity, but in the use of every precious moment to its greatest effect. The wisdom of our Jewish tradition holds Sarah up as a standard of a life well lived. Her life was not merely long, her days and years were also full of meaning and purpose, kindness to others, and devotion to God. It is in making every second count and using each one in upright, fully developed ways that we can become great. We who are given the gift of life, no matter how short or long it happens to be, do best by imbuing its every moment with meaningful and loving actions. Sarah embodies the idea that we must not merely count our days, but must make our days count. We know that death is not only about loss and grieving, but about the sweetness of life's bounty. Sarah teaches us that the blessing of the fullness of life, the ripening of beauty. Even as our hearts might break in mourning, we receive the legacy of our loved ones, and we seek a way to secure that legacy, to plant it within us like a seed. She reminds us that we remember those around us and tell them that we love them often, to treasure our lives and work not to take it for granted, and not to take others for granted as well. May we work to embody our patriarchs and our matriarchs, living full and grateful lives, making our days and relationships count. Shabbat Shalom. The Aleinu is on page 282. We rise if we're able to. Shabbat la'adon hakol, Gdula liotzer bereshit,
Shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot,
Velo samanu k'mishpahot ha'adama, Shelo sam halkeinu kahem, V'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, Va'anachnu korim, Umishtahavim umodim, Lifnei melech, Malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ne'emar v'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yihyeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. Please be seated.
I was 13, and I remember the music and my mother whispering, "Why such a party when it's only a weaning?" And the smell of lamb and the hand drums and the involuntary sound coming from my own throat, half laughter, half sob, after I saw my mother's face in the firelight and I knew my little brother was now my rival. But God was still good to us.
And I was 3, and I remember staring out in the dark of the morning and seeing 2 shadows, and then the clear outline of your mother clutching a water bottle, and watching her wave in the air as if she were talking to someone. But God was still good to us.
And now we stare together into the cave that holds our father.
And our father's bones and his memory in the place before Mamre.
And yet I fear for the future.
Since perhaps the only thing we can do together is to bury and to mourn our dead. We think of those who have passed away at this time in years past, and we think of those who have passed away in recent days and weeks. We're remembering Sheldon D. Stern, and in this season, we're thinking of Ruby Gertrude Church, Jack Cohen, Gail Cohen, Melvin Davidson, Dorothy Marilyn Eichenhorn, Betty Flam, Harvey Goodman, Bernice Graff, Mans Hecht, Ruth Heiger, Harold Isidore Immerman, Sylvia Isley, Eudice Leopold, Marilyn Redmond, Morris Rosenthal, Rebecca Rosen, Herman Schwartz, Louis Siegel, Samuel Slafkin, Nathan Stein, Sonia Strom, Irwin Zatz, and Edward James Zold. If you have any names to add or correct, I encourage you to do so. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. We rise for the Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'hayichon u'vyamechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei omaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitzhadar v'yitzhaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudashah, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru.
Amen.
Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru.
Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru. Amen.
Please be seated. I think Sharon has some announcements for us. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. I also want to especially thank Donna for ushering and Gersh for streaming for us today. On Sunday, November 24th at 10 a.m., join the TKA Book Club for their new season. Discover new books, read more, and be a part of this wonderful community. For this meeting, they're going to be discussing James by Percival Everett. On Saturday, November 30th, come celebrate the Ethiopian Jewish holiday of Sigd. After services, we are going together to eat lunch at Taste of Ethiopia on Northwestern Highway. TKA Sisterhood is having their annual Hanukkah Gelt sale. Milk and dark chocolates are available at a cost of $5 per bag. You can place your order at tkasisterhoodmi@gmail.com. Your order supports women cocoa farmers in Ghana. Orders must be placed by November 30th. On Friday, December 6th is our first Friday Shabbat dinner. Following our 6 p.m. service, we will be going to Saffron Restaurant in Farmington Hills. All are welcome. Please let Cynthia Katz know if you are able to join us. If you have any questions about the above or would like to RSVP, please contact the office. And Shabbat Shalom.
Can you do motzi?
What?
Can you do motzi? Okay. We're going to do Kiddush and motzi on page 5. Thank you for staying, Sharon.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon yichilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziad Mitzrayim, ki vanu bacharta ve'otanu kitashta mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tzeavon. It's not your challah, but but it's
Thank you
still
so
yummy.
much. Our closing song is on page 343, Oseh Shalom.
Oseh shalom b'mroma, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mroma,
May you feel whole, knowing you are enough. May you feel confident, knowing you are prepared. May you feel calm, knowing the storm will pass. And may you feel at peace, knowing you are loved. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for Oneg in the lobby.